Good evening. My name is Julianne Hofer, and I have the distinct pleasure of serving as the Assistant Superintendent here in the Ocean View School District. And we will start here in just a minute or two. And while we're waiting, if you need translation into Spanish or Vietnamese, you'll select that interpretation icon. We have interpreters with us tonight who will be providing interpretation in Spanish and Vietnamese. So we'll get started in another minute or two as we let folks join us. But welcome and thank you for being here. Good evening. My name is Julianne Hofer, and I have the distinct privilege of being the Assistant Superintendent here in Ocean View, and we will get started here in about 1 minute. If you need interpretation into Spanish or Vietnamese, we encourage you to head into those interpretation rooms. Thank you so much for being here tonight to learn a little more about our dual language immersion program that we house at Harborview Elementary School. We're looking forward to a really fun evening. Once again, good evening. I think we're ready to get started. Good evening. My name is Julianne Hofer. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services here in the Ocean View School District. And before we get started tonight, we have some very special guests. First up, Dr. Hansen, our very own superintendent. Dr. Hansen, take it away.
Hello and welcome to the Ocean View School District. We are so thrilled that you're here tonight to learn a little bit about our Spanish dual language immersion program, which in the fall will start its second year. What we're so excited about is that in the Ocean View School District, we do believe in parent choice. And we want to offer programs throughout the district that are appealing to all types of interest. And it was because of the work of our fine board of trustees that brought this idea and pushed for the district to bring such a program to Ocean View that we have it. And you're going to hear from a couple of our board members in just a minute. But it's the kind of work that we try to do is to be innovative and bring choice. And I'm not going to talk too much because you're going to see the wonderful things that are already happening in just its first year. And we hope that you will choose it, this program. So I have the pleasure of introducing two of our board members. I'm going to first introduce our clerk of the board, who's formerly been our president of the board for multiple years, Mrs. Gina Clayton-Tarvin.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Hansen. I'm so happy to be here this evening. And I wanted to say thanks to all the parents that are here with us tonight and learning about this amazing Spanish dual language immersion program. It has been a dream of mine since I was elected to the board in 2012 to have this program. And you know, it wasn't until we had Dr. Hansen join our staff that this has become a reality. And I want to thank the entire board and especially our amazing teachers and principal and staff at Harborview for taking on this challenge and making this dream for our board of trustees and for our entire community come true. Now, I have the pleasure to introduce the president of our board of trustees for this year, who happens to not be a wonderful person and a great community advocate and a friend of mine, but also a native Spanish speaker. She is so amazing. She is an immigrant from Mexico, and she is so proud to be the president of our board this year. Her name is Patricia Singer, and I want to turn it over to our esteemed Madam President.
Technical issues.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Yes? Okay, good. Good evening. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for such a wonderful introduction. I greatly appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you for being part of this. I want to say good evening, parents, community, and staff. My name is Patricia Singer. I am the OVSD's current board president, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate your interest in this fantastic Spanish dual immersion program, and it is true, it was a dream for a very long time. I remember talking about it as a PTO president, and we kept saying, God, we need to bring it here. We see it all around us, it needs to come. And so when it happened, as parents, we were so excited to see it happening. So thank you, Dr. Hansen and staff and teachers for making it a reality. It is truly an amazing thing to see it happening in the classroom. So we greatly appreciate it. I also want to thank, of course, our excellent teachers, because they are the ones that make it happen. They make the magic happen in the classrooms, the staff making it come to reality. So thank you very, very much for all the hard work you do. We appreciate it. And of course, since I speak Spanish, I might as well do it in Spanish, right? So let me go ahead and do that. Buenas noches, padres, comunidad y personal. Mi nombre es Patricia Singer, la presidenta de la Junta Directiva de OVSD. En nombre de la mesa directiva, quiero agradecerles por acompañarnos esta noche. Les agradecemos su interés en aprender sobre nuestro fantástico programa Inmersión Dual en Español que ofrecemos en la Escuela Primaria de Harborview. Esperamos que esta presentación sea informativa y útil para decidir si ese programa es excelente aquí con nosotros. Esperemos que la presentación sea informativa y sobre todo muchísimas gracias a nuestras maestras, a nuestro personal por la grande tarea que ponen todos los días y ofrecer este programa en nuestras escuelas. Son tremendamente agradecidas. Gracias. Buenas noches. I will turn it over now.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. So tonight, we have four main purposes. We'll explain what a dual immersion program is and why it's good for kids. Then I'm going to hand it off to our Harborview staff and Dr. Harris, our principal, along with Senora Streque and Maestra Brito. Will talk specifically about what they do every day in our dual language immersion program here in Ocean View. And then finally, we'll talk about next steps, and you'll hear from our interim director of teaching and learning, Christy Hickman. A dual language immersion program develops both bilingualism and biliteracy in English and a second language by integrating folks who speak English with individuals who speak the other complementary language. So what happens is students are peers with students. It's not just about the teacher speaking that other language, in our case, Spanish. Our teachers are fluent in Spanish. They do have special credentialing for teaching in Spanish. But the benefit of a program like this is that students have friends who speak Spanish as their first language. Dual language immersion is not only good for kids, it's a lot of fun. So we're going to play a brief video, and as we play these videos, I would encourage you to turn your volume up a little bit because our students speak kind of quietly, particularly behind masks. All of this video is from our very own classrooms of our very own students in both kindergarten and first grade. Some of them who this is their introduction to Spanish, and some who speak Spanish fluently. So let's hear about what is fun about our dual language immersion program.
Sophia, are you happy at Harborview?
Sí,
Why?
porque me gusta jugar y leer.
Natalia, ¿eres feliz en Harborview?
Sí,
¿Por qué?
que puedo quitar la playa, puedo jugar con mi amiga Pandalakshmi. Me gusta ir en los columpios con Pandalakshmi.
Muy bien. Nikki, are you happy at Harborview?
Sí,
Why?
porque me gusta aprender matemáticas.
Muy bien. Ana, are you happy at Harborview?
Sí,
Why?
porque me gusta jugar con mis amigos a hide and seek extreme.
Fantastic. As you can see, these are our students, and this is our first year with this program. So all of these students are in the program for the first time this year. Now, dual language immersion program prepares students to be global citizens in a multilingual, multicultural world by providing them opportunities to become proficient, speaking, listening, reading, and writing in both English and the partner language. Results from four-year studies have found that dual language immersion classrooms directly correlate with greater educational achievement in both English and, in our case, Spanish. Let's listen next to a student read his story. Be sure and turn your volume up once again.
Con los manos podemos comer, también podemos escribir.
Bueno.
Now, one of the fabulous things about a dual language immersion program, not only is it fun, not only does it improve academic achievement, but attendance is found to be better, behavioral problems are fewer, parent involvement is higher, and you'll see why. Let's take a peek at kindergarten instruction from Señora Streque as our students practice speaking Spanish during one of her lessons.
Persona, animal, lugar, cosa, persona, animal, lugar, cosa, persona, astronauta.
You can see how very engaging and how our students practice speaking Spanish, both chorally, in groups, and individually. As you can well guess, that in today's economy, being bilingual, trilingual, multilingual improves the ability for getting a job. And there's a real emphasis to attract and promote multilingual workforce in our global workplace. In addition, research has found that it really does improve students' communication skills in both English and in Spanish. Let's look at two of our first grade students have a conversation in Spanish.
Karen, ¿qué te gusta en la escuela? Me gusta aprender matemáticas. ¿Por qué? Porque me gusta sumar. ¿Y a ti? A mí me gusta aprender de insectos y animales. Mira la abeja en la libro.
You can see our students get experience talking to one another, as well as, oops, there we go, speaking orally, and having opportunities to engage in conversations with one another. Now, we did take time to ask one of our families, the Delimas, to tell us a little bit about what it's like for their son in our dual language immersion program. So let's listen.
Hola amigos, me llamo Jason, es mi primer año en clase de español. Aquí están mi papá y mamá.
Hi, I'm Kelly DeLima.
Hi, I'm Daniel DeLima.
We're here to briefly talk to you about the dual immersion and what it's done for us in our house. Like most parents, we were really nervous, but excited about the program. We've heard such great things about it, and we wanted our son to be in it, but you know, me only speaking English, I was a little nervous of the homework load in the school and if I was gonna be able to do it. But Daniel here is lucky to be
trilingual. So I've been able to help out a lot, and I'm also learning in the process. I think it's a tremendous benefit for our kids to get involved in this program early. It's just going to benefit them down the line and for the rest of their lives. So I think it's a great program to definitely get the kids involved early.
Yeah, and when it came to the homework, of course there's times when he wasn't around that I had to do the homework, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is he gonna fall behind in English? What am I doing? I don't know, but the teachers in the community at Harborview have been so helpful, and Miss Brito in first grade has guided us parents through this, because not only is it foreign to the kids, but it's foreign to some of us parents, and we don't know what we're getting into. But it has been such an easy transition, and he loves going to school, especially now the 2 days of hybrid, and he gets excited to learn. And for him, that's like a big thing. Like, you can see the excitement in his face when he is even on Zoom and he can hear the Spanish. And it amazes me how far along in just 5 months he's come. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. I think that even he surprises himself when he starts reading, and I, give him, praises, and then we play back, through his seesaw homework and stuff. He sees how much he's developed in just a matter of 5 months. So I think he sees the benefit also.
I know, and even when we go to like our favorite restaurant, Mario's, he loves to talk to the waiter and waitresses in Spanish and tries to order. So just his excitement to use his Spanish out in the world is like amazing to see. I didn't think he would embrace it as much as he did, and I'm just like, my heart is so full to see how excited he is to learn the Spanish. So we only hope that we have a kinder coming through next year and she gets into the program, fingers crossed, and she embraces this program as much as he did, because it is just mind-blowing to see, and to imagine that he could possibly, well, they say that by 5th grade he'll be completely bilingual is just amazing. And his English is still academically, writing, math, and everything's still up to par. I haven't seen him fall behind at all. The punctuation, spelling, obviously it's like the little things, but it's truly a great program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So if anything, we encourage any parents to do this program. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. Dr. Harris is phenomenal to work with. We had Miss Brito in 1st grade. I can only imagine the kindergarten teacher is phenomenal to work with, but they are all hands-on involved and want to see every kid succeed and do their best in this program. So we hope you enjoyed this little bit, and good luck.
So you can see how beneficial dual language immersion programs are in general and for our kiddos here in the Ocean View School District. I'm going to hand it over here in a second to our Harborview staff, Dr. Harris, the principal, Senora Streque, who teaches kindergarten, and Maestra Brito, who teaches 1st grade. As well as, I want to remind you, there are Q&A box in the options at the bottom. Be sure and put in your questions and answers, or questions, excuse me, and at the end of this presentation, we will be answering questions. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Harris.
Hi, everybody outside on the other side of the screen. I am still excited to see you. I get to be the proud principal at Harborview, and I work with some wonderful people who help to create such a great program. And I get to tell you a little about specifically what you'll get to see at Harborview if you do participate in this particular program. So starting with the big picture, we have 4 goals in this program, and these are the 4 goals that we live by. Not only do our students in the dual language immersion program follow these 4 goals, in the entire school, we follow the same ideas behind the multiculturalism and the respect of diversity, and including all of the character benefits that go from the program across the entire school. So the first goal that we have at Harborview is that the students will think, read, write fluently in both languages. So what we're really focusing to do is to have all of our DLI students by 5th grade, be proficient in both languages, not only to perform at grade level, but to exceed the expectations in both English and Spanish. Now, you might wonder how that's going during the hybrid program, since our students are only in school for 2 days, officially on site for school for 2 days a week, but it's going wonderfully. Now, we too were wondering how it would go, but the students are nicely acclimating to the design that we have currently, and they are keeping up with the Spanish language as much as we possibly can. I'm going to tell you a little in a couple slides about the structure behind how students learn in this program, but for right now, I'll stick to the goals. So number 2, we want our students, obviously, like I just said, to be performing academically at or above the standards in both languages. Now, in the beginning, we're going to learn a lot more in Spanish than we are in English, but I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. So number 3, just like we tell all of our students at Harborview, we want them to cultivate an understanding and an appreciation of different cultures, both at school and in their learning. And so what that means for our students is that they participate in a variety of different experiences that are really based around including both languages into what they do on a daily basis. Now, our students in the typical monolingual program, they also get some of those same similar experiences. And next year, you'll get to see that kind of expand and explode. Right now, because of COVID, we have several restrictions with social distancing and the masks. But later on, when we see the world change a little, we'll get to see even more experiences expand, and then all of the students across the school will get to do the same things that your students are focusing on in this program. That brings me to number 4. One of our tenets at Harborview, and one of our bright shining stars, is our character program. In our character program, we teach our students that one character trait per month, and we focus a lot on the instruction of that particular trait, and that goes along with awards and experiences that the students have. Well, that nicely fits into our 4th goal here, which is that our students will acquire a respect and a responsibility of the community around them. Not only are we responsible to learn, but we're responsible to one another, and we nicely acclimate all of these goals into our character program here at Harborview. So let's talk a little about what the dual language immersion classes look like. So it's our goal to have students in the class in a 50-50 split. We want to have students in there who are speaking Spanish, who are native Spanish speakers, along with native English speakers. And the reason for this is because we need them to act as models for one another. You'll see that our students are not only learning from the teachers, but they're learning from one another. And that's the way that the program is designed. And our curriculum is based on a 90-10 model. There's a lot of research out there that talks about a 50-50 model where the students learn 50% English, 50% Spanish, but we have opted instead to go with the 90-10 model. In the end, we feel like it produces better results. The 90-10 model, in essence, means that in the beginning, at kindergarten, your student will be learning 90% in Spanish. That might be intimidating, we understand. And we also know that you are a new parent, some of you, to our program, not only to the program, but also to Harborview. You're giving us the best you've got. And I give you my word that we take very good care of our little ones. Your transition into Harborview will be likely one that you will be able to brag about to all of your friends, because we have many, many different activities and experiences that are embedded inside of your experience that will make you comfortable with Harborview, as well as you also have another factor that you need to keep in mind, which is the student's model. So 90% of the time they'd be learning in Spanish. Now you'd ask yourself, how is that possible when my student only speaks English? Well, we use a lot of different activities and resources that soon I'm going to get to introduce you to. We do chanting, we do a lot of movement, we do a lot of different strategies that allow the students to use their whole body as they are learning the new language. Now, 10% of the time we will tell you that the students are learning in English. And that is in a particular subject area, or maybe when they're out on the playground playing with some of their English speaking friends, or maybe it might be in the hallway as they, pass someone and need to have an English conversation. But for the most part, our students start in English, and then by 4th or 5th grade, they start in Spanish, and then by 4th or 5th grade, that number decreases to a 50-50 model, where the students are then by 4th and 5th grade learning English for 50% of the time and Spanish for 50% of the time. So you might ask, why take such a powerful approach, right? So the research is telling us that in these programs, we know that the 90-10 model produces the better results that we're looking for. We want our students to not only be proficient in English, but proficient in Spanish by 5th grade. And at Harborview, we have high expectations for our students, and that is the same in our dual language immersion program. We want our students not only to meet the standards, but we want them to exceed the standards. So with this program, we are confident that your students will find some really, really wonderful outcomes. So what is your commitment? What is it that's going to take out of you in order to join this program? What we're asking for out of parents who join the program is that they commit to 5 to 7 years, depending on what path your student takes in middle school. Why? Because in the beginning, when your child is learning Spanish most of the time and not learning English most of the time, your child needs to stick with it until the end, until the 5th grade, when he or she is able to learn in both English and in Spanish. That commitment, we know, is a long-term commitment, which requires a lot of thinking for you. And a part of this program is one of those commitments that you do need to think very seriously about. Students in the program will be learning the Spanish, and then in 2nd or 3rd grade, you'll kind of see it switch. The research tells us that in 2nd or 3rd grade, the light goes on, and our students really have very, very high outcomes through 5th grade. Now, let me talk a little about the homework. That homework can be a little challenging at home, right? Because especially if you only speak English and the homework's in Spanish, you might wonder, well, the directions come to you in English, and the teachers are very, very thoughtful at how they present that information, not only to you, but also to your child. So, and now that we're on a virtual platform where the students are in Google Classroom, you have lots of different ways to communicate with the teacher if you do have any additional concerns or questions about anything that's coming home. I will tell you from an administrative position, I rarely have a parent coming to me saying that the homework that they're not able to understand, or that they have some work that maybe is over their challenge, it's too challenging. That rarely happens. Our families, both parents and students, nicely acclimate into this culture that we've created. So on that note, I want to introduce you to 2 of our very esteemed guests. Lietta Strecky is our kindergarten dual language immersion teacher, and Edith Brito is our 1st grade dual language immersion teacher. I've had the pleasure of working very tightly with both of them, and you have something wonderful ahead. They're going to tell you a little about the curriculum and what you can expect for what happens when your child walks through those doors of that classroom.
Thank you, Directora Harris. I wanted to speak to you guys a little bit about our curriculum, specifically looking at the Spanish language arts curriculum. We use McGraw-Hill, and the Spanish version is called Maravillas, and that translates in English to wonders. Now, you may be wondering, well, are my kids going to be learning the same thing as they would in an English class? Yes, the standards are the same. So we will be meeting the same standards as a monolingual class would meet. And as you can see here, you have the workbooks. In Spanish, it is called Tu Turno, and in English, it is called Your Turn. Maestra Vito.
Maestra Rito, you are muted.
There we go. Okay, so with the math curriculum, like the language arts, we cover the same math standards that would be taught in a monolingual classroom. So in an English classroom, the students would receive the My Math curriculum. In the DLI program, we use the Mis Matemáticas. They are both very similar. One thing that is very specific to the DLI program is that we highlight the cognates, so words that sound and look the same. And there are many in math. For example, in total, diferencia, difference, cono, cone. So we use those cognates to help students bridge the two languages. And so as you can see, they will be learning the same mathematical concepts that they would with in an English class. However, they're learning it in a new language.
As you can see, this is our science curriculum. Once again, we use McGraw-Hill. Our Spanish curriculum is called Ciencia que Inspira, and the equivalent in English is Inspire Science. Now, the amazing thing about science is that a lot of the content, a lot of the important words are Latin-based. So what that means is once the child sees it in Spanish, they're also going to see that same word in English, so the information will transfer from one language to the other. As well as in math, you will see cognates in science as well. For example, animales in Spanish, animal in English. Clasificar in Spanish, classify in English. Ciclo in Spanish, and cycle in English. And once again, we cover the same standards that you would find in the monolingual counterpart. So no worries there, your children will be having the same sort of education as the English speakers.
Okay, and as far as the extracurricular, like physical education, art, and music, our DLI students will receive the same lessons and activities that they would if they were in a monolingual class.
We have a very special curriculum that we have added to our list. It is called Estrellitas. Edith and I are extremely happy to be using this curriculum. It works very well. It's very engaging. The kids really like it. And the reason it works, it's because it's structured, it's systematic, and it's cumulative, and the lessons are entertaining. Now, the instruction is done through direct phonic instruction. It is precise. It is exactly what the children need to know. Our activities are multisensory. For example, when we start learning or teaching the first beginning sounds, the children will be chanting them, they will be singing them, and we also add movement to them. So it's all encompassing. They have a lot of opportunity for movement, which also helps stimulate the brain to learn better. The program accelerates children through the decoding process, which is really amazing to see how quickly the children move from single letters to syllables and then to words. And this program follows a sequence where we begin with reading simple to complex text. For example, like I mentioned earlier, we start with just the first sounds of the letters, and then we move to syllables. And from syllables, we move over to words, and from words, we move over to sentences. And believe it or not, when the kids came in this year to kindergarten, I didn't have any students that knew what sounds the letters made. And now that we're in February, this is going to sound shocking, and it seems even, in our situation, it seems rather amazing. Come February, I have over half of my kindergartners reading in Spanish. So that's made this program really amazing.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate that we love this program. Like Ms. Strecky said, we love it because the kids love it and it works. It's fun. The kids love the chants. They look forward to singing them every day. It has really become part of our daily routine. And I think that this program has really helped our students become interested and get excited to learn a new language. And so I'm confident that, we'll do the same for your kids if you do decide to put them in our program. So yeah.
Right, so at this point, they're all wondering, what are the next steps? So thank you both, maestras. And then in terms of next steps, on our next slide, there is a process for placement. And you all saw, the link tonight, and on our website, there's a tile right here with the Spanish Dual Language Immersion Program. And then this link down here will take you to the bit.ly site. But starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., there will be a new link, and it will be a Google form, and it will be labeled intent to participate. So you'll go ahead and just click on that. And I mean, they're basically 7 to 9 simple questions. And you can go ahead and express your interest. So I've noticed in the chat also that many of you, are you feeling kindergarten? Is there room for other grade levels? So we'll answer those questions. But again, as our superintendent pointed out, that we are about innovation and opportunities and options for families. So some of those decisions will be based on needs. So I just encourage you to go ahead and put in the information that you're interested in. And then we will fill those classes based on, again, a composition, because we need those Spanish models as well as English models. And then if need be, we need a wait list, or we need to open an additional class, we will determine based on the interest, our next steps. So with that, I'm going to just mention that, again, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and that process will run through April. And then we will notify you towards the end of the month. So our department, our Dewan Gibson, she is one of our secretaries in teaching and learning. She will, reach out to you personally with a phone call, with emails regarding notification. So I will turn this presentation back over to Dr. Hofer, and we'll begin our questions and answers.
Fantastic. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can see everybody as we begin answering those questions. So there was a question around grade levels and what happens when students get into 6th grade. Well, right now we are continuing to build our elementary program, but plans are in the works to ensure that our students who matriculate from elementary into middle school have options for continuing their Spanish journey. Right now, both Mesa and Marine have Spanish in there as an elective. However, we recognize that when our students come out of the dual language immersion program, that they will need a robust option. Just to kind of reconfirm, right now, we are just building the kindergarten class. We have existing kindergartners who will matriculate into 1st grade, and 1st graders who will matriculate into 2nd grade. I think early on there was a question around assigning students. How do they get in this program? Complete that intent to participate that Mrs. Hickman talked about. It will be available on our website tomorrow at 9 a.m. And then it's called a placement process. So once we fill classes, you will be notified. As you may recall, somewhere around the end of April. Let's see. And students may participate from throughout the district. This is our dual language immersion program that's housed at Harbor. But even this year, we have many schools that are represented in our dual language immersion program. Let's see. I know there was a question around kiddos who speak Spanish. Are they bored? Maestra or Senora, would you like to talk about what it's like for our students who are already perhaps orally bilingual?
Sure. Yeah, they're not bored at all. We challenge them. They have to learn how to write. They don't come in knowing how to write. They also will be faced with academic Spanish language, which they don't know. They know how to speak, normal at home everyday Spanish, but they have not encountered any academic language. So they are challenged by it. They are not bored. They have fun, and they like to be also the how do I say it? They like to be the role models to the English speakers as well. So that's a role that they take that really boosts their self-esteem, and it's really wonderful to see.
Yeah, and I just want to add, they take pride, like Ms. Strecke said, they take pride in hearing their home language in school, and they really feel, in my experience, I've seen kids really be empowered because they are that language model for their peers. And they love it. You can see it in their face, when, a student, a monolingual student asks them, how do you say this? And they know the answer. So they love that. So definitely I agree with Ms. Strecke. They are not bored, and they love it as well.
Thank you so much. There's a question around the 90-10 model that for kinder and first grade. This year, in our first year, we did start our kinder and our first grade both with the 90-10 model, 90% Spanish, 10% English. We've been very intentional in the design of this program. We actually, our board of trustees not only was it their dream, they put our time, energy, effort behind it, and we brought in a national consultant to help us with program design, an expert, if you will, and renowned. She's published to help us design this program so that from the very beginning it's successful, and the foundation is strong, so that our students really do matriculate and become both bilingual and biliterate, able to read and write in Spanish. There was a question around Spanish speaking support staff. And we do have staff that is assigned to our dual language immersion program that are bilingual beyond our maestra and señora, who help with making that connection with families, with homework, with students, tutoring, if you will, during the classroom. So there's really kind of a team in those classrooms. Would either maestra or señora like to talk about how you use your additional bilingual staff in the classroom?
Sure. So, for example, when I'm teaching a lesson, and since we have social distancing, obviously right now, sometimes I can't get to the kids because I'm obviously teaching to them, but my aide is amazing. She goes to the kids, she sees that they're having issues, and she helps them out. So it benefits all of the kids, and it's just a second person to listen to a second accent, if I may, because yes, you can speak Spanish, but do you understand several different accents? She's from another country, from where I wasn't born at, and so it's good for the kids to hear those accents as well.
Fantastic. There was a question around a student who is receiving special education services. That is an IEP team discussion. So I would encourage you to have that conversation with the specialist who knows your child, who can decide whether or not to make that recommendation, and will help you make a decision. Students can participate who receive special education services. It's just, in some instances it's a fit, and in some instances it's not. It's really an individual team's decision, if you will. I know there's been a little bit of question around homework. Directions are given in English and in Spanish, so that our English-speaking families can help. And if something happens and you're unable to figure out what to do, reach out to the teachers. They are fabulous about providing additional support, additional time, additional clarity. Maestra Brito, can you talk a little bit about homework? Since you teach first grade, your homework's a little harder.
Of course. So like was mentioned, we try to provide the instructions both in English and in Spanish. I'm available through Class Dojo. Parents message me at all hours of the day. We're also, because we're virtual, at the end of my my class sessions, I ask the students, did anybody have any questions with the homework? If parents are around, they've hung around after class, and we have that communication through Zoom. So there are many ways to reach us if they are unclear with the directions or the assignments. That hasn't been a problem. And then we also provide a lot of strategies to support the students to complete those assignments. So we don't just give them the assignments and figure it out. There's a lot of support videos. We record ourselves, explaining the lesson prior to assigning these lessons. So there's a lot of support that goes into those assignments as well.
Thank you so much. All three of my nephews participate in a dual language immersion program in Spanish, and neither my brother nor my sister-in-law speak Spanish. And the teachers are absolutely fabulous about providing support, answering questions, and they really are just a wonderful resource. There were some questions around, I would say, do students need to be students from Harbor in order to participate? The answer to that is no. This is a district program. Students from throughout the district have access to this program. This is our first Spanish dual language immersion program in the district. We do accept inter-district transfers based on space. Let's see. So here's one of the questions. Has any of the kindergartners been unhappy, at the beginning of the program because they're having difficulty understanding? What is that like for that when they first step in?
So I haven't seen them be extremely frustrated, but there will be a time where they are a little bit frustrated, and that's to be expected in learning. In any kind of learning, you have to have a bit of frustration to have growth. But I've been teaching for a long time. I taught internationally in the Netherlands, and I know how to put kids at ease. And I have 3 of my own children as well who have gone through the district. But no, I haven't seen any tears because they don't understand. Maybe tears because they miss mom and dad, but not because they don't understand the language. They're actually pretty interested in it. They find it rather fascinating, and they're actually very excited to tell me, oh my gosh, I've watched this program in Spanish and I know how to say 1, 2, 3, or I know how to say, whatever it is that they've learned. So, and they feed off of each other. The excitement feeds, so the kids are excited and they enjoy the program, and I haven't seen them cry over that yet. Or I don't think I would even will at this point.
Thank you. Our teacher to student ratio is about 27 students are in the kinder, first, second grade classes with 1 teacher and additional support staff. That's not exactly a ratio, but so there is 1 teacher for our 27 students in the classroom. And should your child be placed in the program, you submit interest and your child is placed in the program. If your child has siblings, we do work with you to get all of the siblings at Harbor if that's what you wish. In some instances, we have families who do move older children over to Harbor. And in other instances, it's a family that figures out how to have children who attend multiple different schools. It does not require a transfer. We work with you. It's called a placement, and we do not move students, I'm going to say siblings, without working with you and having you complete paperwork so that we know what to do. We don't make the assumption that every child will, every sibling, I should say, would be at Harbor. Let's see. Dr. Hansen, would you like to talk about next year? What's the plan? Are we going to be 100% in person? You're muted.
I was trying to be respectful and not have my sound on. So absolutely, it is our intent to bring all of our students back. We are already making plans to do that. So, barring any specific guidance that prevents us completely from doing that, which we don't foresee that happening, that is our plan.
Fantastic.
And I just want to clarify, Dr. Hofer, so when they click on the link for interest, that will guide them to how to do an inter-district or no.
No, it's just called an interest form.
Okay, and then we'll help them if they want to do that.
Yes, so it's an interest form for participation in the dual language immersion program. And then should the student be selected to participate, then we'll assist with other siblings, which does involve either an intra-district transfer or a placement, but we work together.
We'll help them with that.
Yeah, we'll help facilitate that for sure. It's asking, are GATE programs offered at dual immersion programs? We do offer GATE later on in their school career, and it would be a cluster within the dual language immersion program. We have a GATE program, but it is not offered in Spanish. So in this case, if you're asking this and referencing our GATE magnet programs, that's a different program. However, we do provide GATE services, and it would be called a cluster program within that program. Outside of formal instruction, Maestra and Senora, do you speak to the students in English or in Spanish? Oh, you're both muted.
In Spanish, yeah, because they need to also learn, how to communicate in an informal setting. So they need to learn the vocabulary that comes with play, and it just makes it a whole well-rounded program if you also speak to them in Spanish in informal situations.
Right. Every moment is a teachable moment. So, perfect opportunity to use, new language outside in the playground. So yes, we use it in informal settings to expose them to that everyday language.
Thank you so much. Dr. Harris, what are the hours of kindergarten in a typical year?
Our students start, all of them, at 8:30, and for kindergartners, they end at 12:15. For our typical students this year, they're ending at 12:50. For next year, if we were to go back full time, and if we were to keep the same schedule that we already have, again, that we've had in years past, our students start at 8:30, and then they would end at 1:50.
Fantastic, thank you. So we're hoping to be a full day again next year. That would be 8:30 to approximately 1:50. And the class size for the dual language immersion class is 27. So we are looking to have 27 kindergarten spots next year. And we're looking forward to filling them up. I know that this last year we had robust interest, and then COVID-19 hit and the pandemic hit, and we had some families who, I'm going to just say, changed their mind or decided to go into the virtual academy. However, we had such robust interest, we still have full classes, and those students have stayed in the dual language immersion program, which is a sign of their level of satisfaction with both Senora and Maestra and the program that we're providing. The fact that our students are learning to read and speak and listen and follow directions. Despite being in person just 2 days a week, we're thrilled and proud. I'm not sure if I know this off the top of my head, but I'm going to ask Senora Streke, do you happen to know how many Spanish speakers are in your current kindergarten class? That's one of the things that kind of went a little bit nutty with the pandemic.
It did. We are low on Spanish speakers. I would say we have maybe about 4, and right now maybe about 2 that are completely fluent. But it still worked. Amazingly, it still worked.
Maestra Brito, do you remember off the top of your head about how many you have?
We're about around the same. You know, I have 4 that can speak Spanish, with about 2 who are fluent, around, you know, those numbers. But again, you know, it worked. We have, you know, a lot of students who are still picking up a lot of language despite not having that many, you know, Spanish speaking students.
Fantastic, thank you. There's a question around expanding to dual language classrooms next year, an option. At this point, it requires special credentialing. And so we really, at this time, our plans are to open 1 class, in part because of our credentialing requirements. So, you know, we go out there, we get the best staff that we can. You can see both our Senora and Maestra are just absolutely fabulous. They're great with the kids. I have the privilege of spending time in the classrooms and watching the students practice and write and the interactions. And even in a weird year, it's still, as you can see, highly engaging. And it's absolutely fabulous. So I think we have one more question. Will students learn English and Spanish alphabet simultaneously? And does that confuse them? What do you
want, teachers, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to take a stab at it?
So do they get confused? Was the question?
Yeah, do they learn both the English and Spanish alphabet simultaneously? And does that confuse them?
So no, they are learning Spanish first. With our model is the 90-10 model. So we really want to strengthen their foundation in Spanish. So they will be learning the alphabet in Spanish and letter sounds in Spanish. We don't really focus on the English part. I don't know, Ms. Strecky, do you?
Yeah, no, you're right. We do not focus on teaching the English alphabet and sounds. We like to keep it separate. And, you know, some of the kids have come in with English knowing how to do their sounds, but no, we don't do that. We concentrate mainly on Spanish. We want them to get a head start in it and to be, looking for the word, and to be able to manage the Spanish.
We do that, keeping in mind that we learn Spanish and English in different ways. And Spanish learners typically learn Spanish looking at their letters first. And in English, we learn our phonemes first. And so, not that the phonemes aren't coming, they're coming. It's just not quite yet.
We anticipate, unless we have students who move, we have not been notified that any of our currently enrolled students are not coming back next year. So I know that was a question. We look forward to what this next year has to hold as we expand and have kindergarten, first and second grade Spanish dual language immersion classes at Harborview. We're excited for you to join us. We'll help. We're here to provide not classroom observations, but tours after the fact. We can set up Zooms. We're here. We want to answer your questions and meet your needs and make sure that you feel really comfortable about the decision you make, because this is a big decision and we recognize and honor that. Dr. Hansen, did you want to give any concluding words?
I just want to say thank you to this wonderful panel tonight and the fabulous teachers, and thank you our board for joining us. I think that it is a testament to our commitment of all the people you see on the screen that are behind this program to make it successful. And it is very exciting to hear that our students tonight. Oh my gosh. Congratulations, Harborview, that was fabulous. And it's also wonderful to hear that they're all coming back. And we would love to open more classrooms if we have interest. So, and that we're able to staff it. So we urge you to, fill out the interests, and we look forward to meeting you personally.
Have a great evening and welcome to the Ocean View family. Good night and goodbye.